I think wishing well's work. I think like I make a real distinction between jealousy and envy.
So you think about how important purpose is for people to feel stabilized and fulfilled, etc., as we've talked about earlier. And then you think about these people that they're striving for 1 million, 1 billion, 1 trillion.
Well, think about what a midlife crisis is, right? So I talk a lot about midlife crisis in the book, and you go, well, midlife crisis is someone that's found their purpose and they've done their thing, and then they've gone, is this it?
Yeah.
Is this it? And then they want something like excitement. So what do they buy? Sports car. Is it exciting? I don't fucking know. I mean, maybe. Maybe if you're super into cars, I guess it's good. But like, it's all advertising speaks to this, right? I know I'm right, because all advertising ever is about, it's no longer about the functionality of the product. It's about the, well, what do you want? You want to feel like
self-esteem.
Like self-esteem? Great, Rolls Royce. You want excitement? We've got Ferraris for you. You want to get your dick sucked? We've got a Porsche. Whatever the thing is, you got that kind of, there's a different one, and they're playing on different emotions. And I think being aware of, I come back to it all the time. What do you want is the fundamental question. Like in any scenario, when you sit down to eat, what do you want? What do you want from life? What do you want? What's the thing that you want? And often it's often asking that question multiple times, because the first answer tends to be
bullshit.
Well, I think wishing wells work, right? But they don't work when you think they work. It's nothing, there's no magic. The magic is, if there is any, knowing what to wish for, knowing what that thing is. Someone says, I want £1 million. You go, you don't know what you fucking want. You want tokens for things that you might want in the future. What do you want? What are you doing? What are you trying to be? Who are you trying to become?
I ask people, young people specifically, this question, and they will say things that are all about external validation. So I want to be like, the one variation of famous that, that might say public speaker, and you say, why do you want to be a public speaker? And really, when you get to the crux of it, what they actually want to be is they want the admiration that they think public speakers get because, their dad didn't talk to them or something.
Yeah, but I could see that. The idea of going, I think a lot of that is like that tribal thing of going, I want to be recognized. I'm in a very privileged position in that I'm famous. And I would argue that's the norm. That's the norm for the longest time in human history. That everyone knew everyone. We used to live in for like 10,000 years, longer. The longest time we were in tribes between 60 and 100 people. Everyone knew everyone. A stranger was a weird thing. And now we see strangers all the time and we act like it's normal, but it ain't. And so that desire to belong, to be famous, what is was ever thus. It's always been that way. It was in ancient Rome, people wanted to be famous and wanted to be adored and wanted to be, that's like it's valid. And how do you deal with that? How do you get that thing? And if it helps them strive, I think I make a real distinction between jealousy and envy in the book. And I talk about jealousy being bad. I don't want you to have that. I don't necessarily want it, but I don't want you to have it. Fuck that guy. He shouldn't have that. Why do you get given that? That's some bullshit. Envy is really good. Envy is like, it's what you want. It's like motivation. It's like, oh, that he's got an electric scooter that looks really cool. I'm going to get one of those. Great. You know what it tells you what you want. It tells you what's the thing that you're attracted to. So I think it can be a real force for good. So that thing of like when you were a kid and you're looking at the other kids and they're suited and booted and clean and tidy going to school and their parents are there and you go, right, I'm building that for me.
I investigated this particular topic in my book at great length, but I want to ask you the question as if I don't know the answer because I want to get your take on it. I agree with everything you said, and I also, especially this point about knowing that you're enough now. In my book, I got to a point in chapter 18 where I'm like, how do I know that I'm enough right now, but also get the purpose and fulfillment that comes from ambition and striving for more? And it felt like a contradiction. Like, I am enough, I have everything I need.
I think we're talking about gratitude. It's that thing of like, you're grateful for what you got. You're grateful for what you've got, just the solid state. If you lose everything tomorrow, you got your health, right? And there's people out there that don't. And you've got friends around you. Great. That gratitude can't be stifling. They're like practicing gratitude. I mean, they've done all the statistical studies on it. It makes such a difference to your life to be grateful for what you have and to go, right, this is fucking amazing. Like, the older you get, the more your friends die. The more you go, fuck, I never got to see this, never got to enjoy that thing, never got to, it's sad. I had a friend pass away recently, and you become aware of your mortality, and you're so grateful to be here and to be in this game and to be around. But that gratitude can't stop you from going, but I also want to go further and farther. And I think the great thing about being a comic is we're brilliant with failure. We made friends with failure a long time ago. We've died many times on stage. I've written more jokes that don't work than you. So many more. You may not have written any jokes that don't work. I've written thousands of them. But that thing of like that feedback loop of failure is so, it's such a great life lesson to learn, because you go, well, look, I can fail all the time, and I'll fail and I'll fail and I'll fail. And I'll fail so many times I run out of ways to fail, and then we'll call that success. And you build and build, and you kind of go, well, what's the next thing I'm going to do? I'm very lucky because I have a job which is, it's a task without end. And that's where I think happiness lies, in those tasks without end, where you go, right, I'm going to spend my time trying to be a better comic. I'm going to try and write in a different style. I'm going to try and be a goat. I'm going to try and be on the Mount Rushmore of comedy. Now, I know that probably won't happen, but I've got a fucking lottery ticket, and I'm allowed to try and do it. And that feels like that feels like a life's journey. I don't know if did that answer the question? I don't know if it did.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect.
But then the question was about,
no, you did, because you reframed
purpose beyond.
You reframed my point, which was about knowing you're enough. You reframed it to gratitude, and gratitude and ambition can coexist.
Yes, but it's a tricky one though, isn't it? Because sometimes you feel like, am I being ungrateful by wanting more?
Yeah, yeah.
And also, and how much of a kind of, you kind of go, well, geez, I've already got a lot of stuff. Do I need any more stuff? Do I need any more?
Yeah.
But I guess it's not about things or people. It's about how we spend our days ultimately. So it's not about like, there isn't a God. No one's keeping score. There's no one from above who's going to go at the end of your life, okay, let's take a look at the stats. And in my head, I kind of wish there was.